Hola, buenos dias. Hi, this is Spanish with Kate Languages. If you've purchased the whole lesson on my website, then you should have been able to download this PowerPoint that I'm going to talk us through during the lesson. If you are listening to the podcast version or watching the free video on YouTube and you would like to access the full lesson and the PowerPoint, then head over to katelanguages.co.uk/courses. And it's there with all of my other pre-recorded lessons. This is the fourth of the Spanish lessons, and it's Spanish AR verbs. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. So AR verbs are probably the most common of the Spanish verbs, a bit like the French ER verbs. Incidentally, if you're interested in French ER verbs, I have a lesson on those as well. And we're just going to be looking at how to conjugate them in the present tense. So in Spanish, we have three different types of verbs. We have AR verbs, IR verbs, and ER verbs. My brain got a bit muddled up with French then, but yeah, AR, ER, and IR. And yeah, the AR ones are the most common ones, I would say. We're going to be just looking at completely regular AR verbs today. There are a subsection of verbs in Spanish which are called stem changing verbs, and I'm going to be doing a lesson on them at some point in the future. And what that means is, so an example of that is jugar. So that is spelled J-U-G-A-R. When it's in the first person singular, it becomes juego. Okay, so the U changes to a U-E. So that's the stem. The jug is the stem, and that changes. That's why it's called a stem changing verb, and it changes in a few of the different people, not all of them. But yeah, so what we're looking at today is AR verbs that are regular and not stem changing. Okay, and we're just looking at the present tense. So the example that I've got here for us to conjugate is hablar, which means to speak. So hablar. Okay, and I'm just going to go through what all the endings are here. So you'll notice I don't, if you're watching the video, I don't have the subject pronouns because we don't really use them in Spanish. So yeah, we don't tend to use the subject pronouns in Spanish. They do exist, and you use them when you want to really emphasize who it is who's speaking, but because of the way that the verbs are conjugated, we could tell who we're talking about because of the ending of the verb rather than using the subject pronoun. Okay, so yeah, so to conjugate the verb, so hablar, we take off the AR. For the yo, we add O. So hablo means I speak, hablo. And you'll notice that the H is silent. If you have watched my phonics video, you'll know that an H is usually silent in Spanish. If you haven't, I recommend downloading it. That one's free for the full lesson. And it's really, really useful to be able to pronounce Spanish. So that'll give you a few tips on how to do that. Okay, so yo hablo, I speak, hablo. The tu form, so the you singular and informal, is hablas, hablas. He, she, and also, so él is he, ella is she, usted means you, singular and formal, and that is a on the end, so habla. Okay, so hablo, hablas, habla. We, nosotros, hablamos. So we speak, hablamos. Vosotros, which means you, plural, informal, habláis, and there's an accent on your A there. So A-I-S, A with an accent, I-S, habláis. And then ellos, ellas, and ustedes. Ellos and ellas mean they. Ustedes is you, plural, formal. And your ending here is an, so hablan. Okay, so I'll go through them all again. Hablo, hablas, habla, hablamos, habláis, hablan. Thank you for downloading and listening to or watching the free sample of this video on Spanish AR verbs. As I said at the beginning, if you want to download the full lesson and the accompanying PowerPoint, then head over to katelanguages.co.uk/courses. And it's the 4th of the Spanish pre-recorded lessons. And if you don't want to do that and you're really enjoying my free content and you would really love to show me some support anyway, then you could always go to buymeacoffee.com/katelanguages to buy me a coffee and show me your support there. And as always, can you subscribe, rate and review, because apparently that helps people to know, to hear about these, and hopefully it will help some people to learn a little bit of Spanish along the way. So, muy bien, muchas gracias, hasta la próxima vez, adiós.